prime shipwreck Cobra Commander, the fucking cunts from Riverdale. Mariska Hargitay, Mario.
Oh, hey there. Don't mind me. I'm just watching some fine piece of television. Oh, yeah. Oh, I really need to use the bathroom. Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh, I really needed that. Though, like, could you imagine, like, all that waste being flushed away? Imagine if they made a movie called that. Okay. Flushed Away is a 3D animated movie created by DreamWorks and Aardman. You know Aardman, the people who created Wallace and Gromit. Yeah, those guys. Aardman for decades have been using claymation, and it's absolutely amazing. There's something so charming about Wallace and Gromit in particular. The vibe these short films give off just feels so right.
Knickers.
Like you have an extraordinary, intelligent man create all these inventions in an otherwise ordinary world. It's truly magical. Because of how popular Aardmen were, both they and DreamWorks agreed to work together in 1997 with the aim of making 4 feature-length films during their partnership. Chicken Run was their first film in 2000. If you've never heard of this film, then the best way I can describe it is that it's The Great Escape, but with chickens made of clay, and instead of running away from Nazis, they run from farmers. 5 years later, we got Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. I absolutely adore this film. Ralph Fiennes voices a character who's bald.
What the?
Just like his character Voldemort in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which also came out in 2005. We only had to wait 1 year for the third and final film they made together, Flushed Away. What a fascinating movie. I enjoyed it a lot as a kid. I owned the DVD and even had the game for the DS. For whatever reason, this film has stuck with me for years, more than it has any right to.
Have you seen my dad?
Like if I asked any random person on the street if they've ever heard of it, chances are they probably thought I was talking about some fan fiction involving plumbers. Okay, I don't want to think about plumbers getting their pipes cleared again. So, let's watch this film now. Roddy St. James is a house rat from Kensington, and his owners are going on their holidays. This gives Roddy the entire house to himself. He uses this opportunity to do a variety of things like golfing, beach volleyball, and watching films with his sex dolls. What's interesting here is that in the trailer, Roddy's owners sound American, but in the final film, they have posh British accents.
It's 9 o'clock already. We're gonna miss our flight.
Just a second. Bye, Roddy. I'll miss you.
Do you have the tickets, darling?
Tabitha, did you feed Roddy?
Oops. We'll be back in a few days, so here's enough food for you.
Only God knows why that's the case. Another thing that appeared in the trailer, but not in the final film, are the 2 hamster butlers. There is a reason why they were removed, but I'll explain why that is the case near the end of the film. The opening montage is brilliant and perfectly sums up the kind of person Roddy is. There are many references to different DreamWorks and Aardman works, like a plush of the dragon from Shrek, Gromit, Alex from Madagascar, Wallace's clothes, multiple DVDs of DreamWorks films. I could go on forever, baby. It's funny how, until recently, this movie was the closest we'd get to seeing Hugh Jackman in the classic Wolverine suit. Yeah, Hugh Jackman voices Roddy in this movie. I was kinda surprised when I found that one out, but it definitely shows how ranged he is as an actor.
Motherfucker!
One night, a fat rat named Sid from the sewer appears, being a complete nuisance and ruining Roddy's life of solitude in the process. In a desperate attempt to get rid of him, Roddy tries to trick Sid into jumping inside the toilet and flushing him, claiming it was a jacuzzi. However, Roddy completely underestimates Sid's intelligence, gets pushed in and is flushed away. Hey, I like those last 2 words. Man, that'd be a good title for this film. In fact, that should be the subtitle for the next Super Mario movie. Roddy finds himself in the sewer, and it's there where we see the comic relief of the film. The slugs. These slugs, man. Oh boy.
I'm so hungry.
Do I have a story for you all? You see, like I said earlier, I was obsessed with this movie. It was 2009 and I was in primary school. Each kid in our class had to make a clay figure of any character we wanted. I ended up making a slug from this movie. On top of that, I would say, "The slugs are back," a line that was said in The Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Throwback's right. The slugs are back. The slugs are back.
And repeat it over and over again until the teacher told me to calm down. In retrospect, I don't really know why I was obsessed with these terrestrial gastropod mollusks. They are essentially a prototype of the Minions, basically the Minions 4 years before they existed. I get why people find these things cute to look at, I do. However, just look at these slugs. Slugs are disgusting. They eat your plants and they don't even have the cool little shells like what snails have. If slugs had the same laws as humans, then they'd be arrested for indecent exposure. Luckily, these slugs never appeared again. Roddy ends up in a rat-sized version of London called Ratropolis, which somehow looks cleaner than the real thing. He must find a fellow rat called Rita, a scavenger hunter, as he is told she could help him get back to Kensington using her ship, the Jammy Dodger. For those who don't know, it's named after the biscuits, Jammy Dodgers. I do not like them at all. I mean, I don't know why. I find them to be a bit jammy and a bit dodgy. Roddy and Rita are then taken by Spike and Whitey, the henchmen of the Toad, and they bring them to him as Rita stole a ruby that originally belonged to her father. What used to bother me a lot back in the day is that Spike and Whitey keep calling Roddy Millicent, all because Roddy said he was an innocent bystander, and somehow Whitey misheard what he said.
I believe he said his name was Millicent Bystander. Millicent!
Even after Roddy repeated his real name multiple times, they still call him Millicent. It's kinda dumb if you ask me. Also, the reason why one of the henchmen is called Whitey is because he used to work in a laboratory and lost all of his hair. I imagine this would be his favourite song now. Also, Bill Nye voices him. If a sequel ever happens, then it'd be a shame not to have him reprise his role, since he died in Smiling Friends.
I'm sorry. I confused Bill Nye with Bill Nye. Please forgive me. This joke is now invalid.
Whitey is the more dim-witted character, while Spike is the more clued-in member, and is also voiced by Andy Serkis, long before he lost his mind in Black Panther.
Yeah, I can see you. Okay, I can see you.
The Toad decides to freeze Roddy and Rita with liquid nitrogen, but they both manage to escape.
There's a paperclip in my back pocket. See if you can get it.
Rita takes back the ruby along with an electrical cable which is needed to control the sewer floodgates, called the master cable.
There are things I want to do, sights I want to see. That wasn't on the list.
You see, Rita plans on selling the ruby in order to help her family. A very noble cause indeed. In fact, I actually like Rita as a character in general. Kate Winslet does a really good job voicing her here. She's capable of looking after herself and caring for her family. The ruby would change everything for her. However, Roddy was able to figure out that it's fake. I mean, I don't think it matters that much. Rita wouldn't risk her life over something that is only worth peanuts. So Roddy should just give back the ruby to her. Nah, never mind. He smashes it into a million pieces just to prove his point.
You can't break a real ruby.
What is wrong with you?
As you can imagine, this makes her so angry that she unintentionally rings the local Chinese takeaway.
Punch it, Johnny's takeout.
Yes, I'm being attacked by a madwoman. She's got crayon.
Feeling bad for what he did, Roddy offers Rita a real ruby on the condition that she takes him back to Kensington, and she accepts. They decide to pay a visit to a rather large family before starting their journey.
Tom! Oh, it's Tom Jones!
Actually, now that we're here, let's take a break from talking about the story and look at the animation instead. The animation here is not like what we have seen from Chicken Run or even Curse of the Were-Rabbit, despite the similarities. Those movies were purely claymation, and for as good as they looked, it was very time consuming. The Curse of the Were-Rabbit came out only a year before Flushed Away, so it was clear Aardman had to change their tact when it came to Flushed Away. You see, using stop motion was great and all, but trying to render water with it was complicated, and using real water would damage the clay models. This was obviously going to be a problem when making Flushed Away, since most of the film involved water. So Flushed Away became the studio's first fully CG animated movie. One thing I noticed while watching this film is that while the characters' movements look really smooth, the same can't be said for their mouths. It's like the mouths move at a slower frame rate compared to every other body part. The mouths move like they were clay figures talking, like they were trying to replicate what previous Aardman projects did when it came to characters talking. It feels somewhat out of place once you notice it, but it's not enough for me to think that it's that distracting. The Toad wants Spike and Whitey to capture the pair, but failed in their pursuit. As a last resort, Toad calls upon his French cousin, Le Frog, for help. So this is interesting. You have a toad who is somehow related to a frog and isn't even the same nationality. I wonder how that works.
Yes, I am Le Frog. I like to go to the Paris fashion show. I like to drink wine. And I like to eat frog legs.
I'm sorry to any of you French people watching this video. Let me make it up to you right now. J'adore. I can't. I just can't say it.
J'adore Thierry Henry et son grand gaucher. Grâce à lui, la France s'est qualifiée pour la Coupe du Monde 2010 à la place de l'Irlande.
By the way, Ian McKellen plays the Toad. I just love his deep, posh, sinister voice.
It's obvious I should never have sent rodents to do an amphibian's job.
I'm not alone with this opinion, because he managed to win an Annie Award for voice acting in a feature production. Fair play to him, he deserved it. He's such a fantastic actor.
Oh yeah? Well, if you love Uncle Ian so much and you don't think I'm watching out for you, why don't you go live with Uncle Ian?
Le Frog and his minions manage to retrieve the cable, but are unable to capture the duo as they escape out of the sewer. They make it back to the house and Roddy gives Rita the new ruby as promised, even giving Rita an emerald to buy a new Jammy Dodger, which was destroyed a few minutes earlier. Remember when I said earlier how they were originally going to be 2 hamster butlers, but were cut from the final film? Well, now this is the time to explain why that is the case. You see, they were cut because the filmmakers really wanted to emphasize just how lonely Roddy is. However, they do exist in the video game tie-in. Sure, he has the humans who look after him, but I doubt they give him that much attention, and they probably leave the house often. All Roddy has are his dolls. That's it. Rita believed he had a real family, but she notices his cage and realizes that he is nothing more than a pet. I like how Sid just roasts Roddy in front of Rita, completely humiliating him in the process.
All Mr. Lonely has got is a couple of dolls and a little wheel to run around in his cage. Oh, this is too sweet!
Like it's both funny and sad. Rita wants Roddy to come back with her into the sewer, but his pride won't allow him to admit how lonely he truly is and declines her offer. Rita sees herself out using the toilet, only for her to be kidnapped off screen. Because of course, Roddy joined Sid to watch the World Cup final between England and Germany. What's funny here is that the real-life 2006 final took place between France and Italy, with Italy winning on penalties. The film came out months after that match. I'm bringing it up now because I want to remind you all that at the end of the film, England lost to Germany. Sid mentions half-time, and this makes Roddy piece together the Toad's plan. He wants to open the floodgates during half-time, when all of the humans will most likely use the toilet, bringing about a giant wave of drainage in order to destroy the city, therefore allowing the Toad to use the submerged city as a new home for his tadpole children. Why would he go out of his way to do all that? Well, it was explained earlier that the Toad was a house pet of Prince Charles, and they had fun together. Yes, that Charles. But one day, Charles receives a rat as a present and flushes the Toad down the toilet. This explains why he wants to commit rat genocide. Roddy decides to let Sid become the rat of the house. Sid flushes him back down the sewers again, so he can save the day. He frees Rita, and they take down Spike, Whitey, the Toad and the Frog. They use the liquid nitrogen to freeze the wave just before it hits anyone. Roddy is hailed as a hero, and he happily agrees to live in the sewers with Rita. They rebuild the Jammy Dodger and go on another adventure with her family. The end. On a budget of $149 million, it only managed to accumulate around $178 million. That does sound bad, alright. However, with that in mind, this is still the third highest grossing Aardman film. Why did it perform this poorly? Did people like it or not? I liked the movie as a kid, but do I like the movie now?
Yeah.
But compared to The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Flushed Away really doesn't hold a candle to it. The Curse of the Were-Rabbit was unapologetically English, while Flushed Away felt like an Americanized action film starring English actors and set in England in order to appeal to American audiences. It turns out that all of this was DreamWorks doing. Aardman had no intention of wanting to make Flushed Away a CG animated movie. It only made it as such because of DreamWorks meddling and a lack of time. This eventually led to both companies ending their partnership not long after this movie came out, citing creative differences and poor box office returns as the reason for their split. In spite of all this, I still enjoy the film, and it's somewhat of a shame that we won't get a sequel. I like these characters enough that I would have liked to have seen more of them. Unfortunately for this film, it just didn't leave the same cultural impact as Wallace and Gromit, or even Chicken Run. In the end, Flushed Away is a solid, good movie. A wet and smelly one, but still. Get it? Wet and smelly? You know, because that's what you'd expect the inside of the sewer to look like. And okay, no, I'm sorry, okay? That joke was just shit. Get it? Shit? Because that's what you'd find in the sewers and all that. Like, do you know what I